you're building a level of rapport with sellers, if you're building a level of rapport, they're going to feel bad for not answering you, right? It's like, why would you not answer a friend? You know, if you build enough rapport with them and they like you and trust you, they're going to answer you, right? They're going to answer you, and you have to build that element of rapport. I'll give you an example. We're at an Extreme Freedom event here just a couple weeks ago, and there's a gentleman there by the name of Peter. And Peter, we had him rehearse what he was saying to sellers on the phone, right? As he was saying that, we're talking to him, we're asking him to rehearse what he's saying on the phone, and he was robotic. There was no rapport. And what happened was he'd get to the point and say, hey, Mr. Seller, what would you like to get for your property? And guess what happened? 99% of the people that he spoke to wanted retail, right? So we'd look on Zillow, and the Zillow was 250, and the seller wanted 248, right? And he'd go, okay, well, sorry, I can't do anything for you. Click, and hung up. And he'd hang up. Well, guess what? First off, he didn't build rapport. He didn't really dig into the numbers behind the numbers, the 248,000 in this example that I'm talking about. And he was like, I'm doing this hard, I'm trying this thing, I'm making the calls, I'm talking to sellers, I'm getting the numbers, but I'm not getting deals. Why? As soon as he realized that he's not building rapport and he's not negotiating with a seller and getting to the root of their 248. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I know you want $248,000, but is that net to you? Or are you including closing costs and repairs and holding time and commissions and fees in that number? If we were going to take care of everything and you could have a net number, what's the absolute minimum cash you'd have to take if you didn't have to have any hassle? What'd be the minimum cash you take for the property? And what's going to happen is it's going to drop. That number is going to drop. Now, if it doesn't drop, then you say, hey, listen, do you realize if you wanted to sell it on the market today at top price, you're going to have to pay all those fees. So we got to back those out anyways to get to a net number. And now you're negotiating, right? So the bottom line is, and I'm talking about these key performance indicators, and I'll open it up for questions over here, and I'll answer some of your questions. But I really want to make this important. So your goal is revenue. Before revenue becomes a signed contract. Before a signed contract with the seller comes a presented contract, meaning in the way we do business, right? Unless you're meeting a seller face-to-face in your local market, we are closing over the phone, right? We're closing over the phone. So when you close over the phone, you have to get an agreement on price, and you have to get an acceptance on price, and then you have to get them in front of their computer or front of their phone and be able to walk through the documents and have them right there sign the contract right in front of you, right? Sending a contract, emailing a contract to a seller without having an agreement on price, an agreement on terms, what happens, it leads to you sending contracts and then getting ghosted, okay? So what happens before you have a presented contract, right? What happens before that? Well, guess what? That means we have to talk to people. So we use DialPad. DialPad is basically our phone system. It's our phone system that we use within our company. Now, my entire team, I'm sitting in my office here, right? And my entire team's working remote. But what DialPad allows us to do is I can have someone in Phoenix and I can have someone in Portland. They can be talking to sellers using Freedom Logic, right? And they can transfer a seller from one person, whether they're in Phoenix or wherever they're at, to a phone. And you're able to do an intercompany transfer. So we have someone gets on the phone, they talk to a seller, right? And they can say, "Oh, you know what? Let me transfer you over to Mark over here. Mark's up in Portland, and he's great, and he's going to help you finish out this contract." It allows us to that transfer, but more importantly, from a managerial standpoint, it allows us to track the amount of calls that they're making on a weekly basis and the amount of talk time, how many hours they've been on the phone, right? Now, talk time is incredibly important. So let me ask you this question. In a week, going from Sunday to the following Monday, how much time have you spent on the phone talking to sellers? Now, I know some of you are part-time, and I know you might be working around, but this is the number to track. Now, let me tell you something. Here's the point. Here's what I'm talking about. Is that our top sales reps that are crushing right now, that are getting contracts every single week, they're getting high revenue, they're getting huge commission checks, they're crushing it. You know what their key indicator is? The amount of dials they're making out, right? To follow up and talk time. How much talk time, how much time they're spending with the sellers. So Bunny asked a question earlier and said, hey, I bought Flip to Freedom, but I haven't got results yet, right? So if I was going to sit down right directly across from Bunny, and you and I were going to sit down, Bunny, and we were going to meet, we're going to talk, the first thing I would ask you was like, how many leads did you get this past week or this month, right? How many offers did you present? Then we're going to look at talk time. How much time did you spend actually talking to sellers on the phone? Now, our top guys that consistently knock down 2 and 3 contracts a week are spending 30 plus hours on the phone a week. They're dialing, they're making calls 30 plus hours a week, making calls and talking to sellers on the phone. Now, could you do that part-time? We have a part-time person that works weekends. She's still hitting the 20 to 25 hour a week time frame, and she's still knocking down 1 to 3 contracts a week. So think about that, right? How much time are you actually spending? And that is work. That's the effort. That's the time. So if I was going to sit down with Bunny and Bunny goes, hey, I bought Flip to Freedom, but I haven't done anything. I haven't made any money yet, right? I would say, great, let's get into the work that's being done. How many leads did you generate in a week, right? Or in the past month? Right? How many contracts have you physically presented to a seller? How much you went through, right? How many out of those leads, how many did you, and how much talk time did you spend on the line? And that would give us a huge indicator, massive indicator, on where or why someone's getting success or not. So, and here's the issue, right? You got to be motivated. You got to be motivated to get on the phone and talk to sellers, and you know what I mean. And if you follow the Remote Millions system, and you're talking to sellers, and you're using either AdWords or you're using the postcards in there, you're getting leads coming in. When you're talking to sellers, that's talk time. The more time you spend talking to sellers, the more time you spend, sorting through those sellers, right? You're going to have some of properties you can't do anything with. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're properties, they're underwater. They don't make sense, right? But you're going to have a good handful that you can actually make offers to and present offers to. When you do that, you'll get results. So here's the thing. If you and I were going to work together, we would look and track those numbers.